In this video, we are going to listen to the story of the movie Moby Dick released in 1956. So, this is how the movie begins. It is set in 1841 in New Bedford in New England, and the story follows the whaling ship Pequod and its crew. Now, this is the poster of the movie Moby Dick, one of the posters of the movie Moby Dick. Now, the movie begins with a wanderer who is wandering in the countryside, and he has his baggage on his shoulder. And this happens to be the narrator of the whole story. And he asked us to call him Ishmael. Call me Ishmael. That is the very famous dialogue, the first beginning sentence of of the novel Moby Dick, and this is exactly how the movie also begins. And this is Ishmael, acted by the actor Richard Basehart. But we will know about the actor and so on afterwards. We'll just go by the storyline. Now, Ishmael is, yeah, this is the scene, first scene, and he is walking about with his luggage. And Ishmael explains his wish to see the sea and wish to see the world. Then a storm starts and he goes to a bar and orders a pint of rum. Now, a man named Stubb comes to him and asks him to join the group. And meanwhile, they look at a painting on the wall of a whale destroying a boat with its tail. And meanwhile, when they are doing so, and Ishmael has a strange effect by that portrait. He exclaims about that also. And while they were talking, all of them, there is a group of people in the bar, and they all can hear someone walking outside. Someone refers to Captain Ahab, who is audible walking outside because he is audible because of his wooden leg. And the group grew quiet for a minute or so, and but then they continue to speak, and they break into sea shanties. Now, what are sea shanties? Sea shanties are traditional folk songs commonly sung during work. They are work songs actually to accompany rhythmical labor, and this is quite popular among the sea people. All right, and then that night Ishmael takes a room in an inn, and he thinks that he is alone in the room, and that's why he spends his time reading about whales. But then it is at that time another man comes inside that room, and he is filled with he is covered with tattoos on him, and this is Queequeg, and they get into a fight because Queequeg thinks that the room belongs to him and nobody is supposed to share with him. And Ishmael too thinks the same way. And when they are fighting, another member of the crew comes and pacifies them. This is what happens. The next, but then later on we come to know in this movie they both becomes great friends, thick friends. The next day they go to the church, and it is a church scene. In the next scene is a church scene, where the camera pans along the wall memorials of men who were killed by a whale. Yeah. And then there is a priest, a father. His father Maple. He enters and climbs a rope ladder to his pulpit, and he starts giving a sermon. Now, the strange thing about this pulpit is the pulpit is also built like a prow of a ship, and he speaks to his people, and he reads a portion from the Bible and gives a sermon, and the sermon happens to be on Jonah and the whale. This is apart from the Bible, from the book of Jonah. And then next what we see is back in his room, Quick and Ishmael, as I told you before, they become thick friends, and Quick is telling about himself to Ishmael. Then both of them agree to go together to the first whaler, which will take them. So that's why both of them and go to Nantucket, and so that they are hired by any ship or whaling ship that would hire them. And so the next day they go to the harbor, and then they arrive at Pequod. And this is the scene where they arrive at Pequod, and both of them are, they are very impressed about it. And when they see both, many of the parts of the ship is made out of whale teeth and whale jaw and so on and so forth. They meet Peleg and Bildad. They are the owners of this ship, and there is a tight argument about the salary they have to receive. So Ishmael gets 1/300 of the howl, because he is a new hand. He has never had any experience of going on a whaling ship. And then, but Quick gets 1/60th of the howl, because he is an experienced person and he has skills with the harpoon. Harpoon is an instrument used to catch whales. As they are moving towards the ship Pickwood, a strange thing happens to them. They meet a man, and it is like, it is like Prophet Elijah from, from the Old Testament. And he, the prophet like person, warns them of the Captain Ahab, and he says that Captain Ahab is a wicked person, and he prophesies that Ahab will die but return to beckon them. He will die and come back to call them, and also that only one man will survive. And they say, oh, but for a moment, Quick and Ishmael is, both of them are taken aback, but then they just leave it. They forget about this and they board the ship. Now the ship is loaded with food and other supplies, and while they are about to move, the women watch as they raise the sails and weigh anchor. And this trip is going to be for 3 years. And then they head to Azores. Now, Ahab is not seen. Until now, Ahab, the audience don't see Ahab. Even Ishmael is waiting to see who Ahab is and why so many people talk of Ahab and what sort of a personality this man is. So he is curious to know how Ahab is. Ahab is not seen in daylight, but they hear his peg leg walking the deck at night. Then one day he appears. His leg is carved from the jawbone of a whale. We thought it was wooden leg. It was not wooden leg. It was carved by the jawbone of a whale. But they don't make. He has not made any attempt to make it look like a leg. It is like, a cone, a kind of contraption there. Yes, and this is Ahab. Ahab is acted by the actor Gregory Peck, and this is it. And this here is Starbuck, the first mate of this ship. All right, Ahab comes, and they see, the crew sees, okay, this is Ahab. Ahab comes, and previously when they meet Bildad and Peleg, he has already mentioned that Ahab is crazy about a whale called which he calls Moby Dick, or which those whalers call Moby Dick. And now Ahab comes and talks them into going in search of the whale. He tells them to look for a great white whale, Moby Dick, who bit half of his leg, half of his left leg. He nails a gold coin to the mast for the first man to spot it. Just if any man on the ship spot Moby Dick, that person would get that gold coin. Then after that, the crew, he motivates the crew like anything, and a beverage is passed around, and Ahab inspects the harpoons. He wants it to be very super sharp so that he can kill Moby Dick the moment he sees. The next day, the first whale is found, and 3 rowboats set out in chase of these things. Yeah, this is the scene where they share the drinks, and he cheers the crew, and encourages them to find Moby Dick or something like that. Yeah, we'll speak about this now. This is a rough diagram of what is happening here. So this is New Bedford, this is in America, and this is where we find Ishmael in the beginning of it, and they need, this is Nantucket. This is a kind of small tiny island there, just in front of New Bedford. It is from here the Pickwick starts. And okay, and the remaining thing we will discuss, you know, as the story proceeds. Mm, all right. The next day, the first whale is found, and three rowboats set out in chase. Quick strikes with the first harpoon, and soon all the three boats are being pulled by the whale. One boat is capsized before the whale is subdued. At night, they slice the blubber. You know, after they catch the whales, they slice the blubber and they boil it down. They boil it down to get oil, fuel oil, to, you know, to run the ship and so on. They need fuel. They need fuel even to cook. So for many purposes, they boil the blubber to melt it down and get the fuel. In the morning, they cast the bare bones back into the sea. This is how they survive in the sea. In the sea, yeah. Starbuck informs Ahab that they produce 85 barrels of oil. Ahab shows him Ahab shows him a chart of, you know, the a chart he has made of the Pacific, and he has marked the various places where the whales can be found. He says that here he plans to go rounding this Cape of Good Hope. This is Cape of Good Hope. This is the tip of Africa. They started from here, and he plans to go from here and then go here to find our and he from experience has noted that Moby Dick would be in this place, which is called Bikini Atoll, and this is a kind of place where the coral reefs are there. So he thinks that Moby Dick could be found here, and that is why he has marked that place there. He says they will round the Cape of Good Hope and head east. Now Ishmael has his first shift as spotter at the top of the main mast. That was the first thing that we saw during this presentation. He spots a huge school of whales. They catch many. A second ship, which is captained by Boomer, comes. Now Boomer is also a man who has lost his left arm to Moby Dick, like Captain Ahab, who has lost his leg. Boomer has lost his left arm, but Boomer is not that obsessed by the whale like Captain Ahab is. So this is a kind of contrast. And he also has replaced his arm with a whalebone and a harpoon spike as a hand. He says he saw Moby Dick at Madagascar coast. This is Madagascar, and this is a Madagascar coast. I have put some whales here so that to show you that the whales are there also.